My family took a $3,000 trip without me and then thought I'd watch their kids, for I was free to leave at 5 a.m., and when they found out, they called CPS. I am Riley, and I just finished from college with a degree in finance. For as long as I can remember, I've always wanted to finish high school, go to a good college, and get a good job, and leave. It seems easy enough, but life had other plans for me. I finished, got my degree, and then went back to live with my parents, in a small Ohio town. Don't get me wrong, I love my parents, Denise and Russell. They are great people who have worked hard to give me a safe home life. And my sister Morgan, but going home wasn't really the dream I'd had for 4 years. I was going to stay with them for a few months while I looked for work and saved up enough cash to buy my own house. It made sense. I asked for free rent, food, and a place to rest while I thought about what to do next. I told myself it was the right choice, even though it hurt my pride a little at first. Everything went well. I worked as an analyst at Western Group this week. Western Group is a medium-sized company that focuses on financial planning. For small businesses, the pay wasn't great, but it was steady, and the perks were good. That night I came when I got home. I felt like I had taken a big step toward freedom. My mom was making dinner, and Dad was watching TV in the living room. So I got a plate of food, sat down at the table, and gave I was thrilled to hear that I got the job. I start Monday, I said. For a moment, I thought they'd be happy. I was expecting some kind words of praise. Maybe even we're proud of you. They gave each other that look parents give each other when they're about to say something mean. Mom smiled and lowered her fork closely. That's great, Riley. Really? We knew you'd find something quickly. But we said it was my dad's turn to say. We've been meaning to talk to you about something. Dropped it. This was not going to end well. Mom sighed and put her hands on the table. My arthritis is getting worse, so I have to cut back on my library hours. Your dad has also had to do the same at the car shop. They're also talking about laying off more people. I asked where this was. All going, and we could use some help, Mom said. I'm sorry, but I need some help with the bills until things settle down. You wouldn't have to pay rent or anything. It's just been harder for me to keep up with the groceries and electricity. There and stared at my plate. When I got back, I chose to participate here, and there to pay for my own costs. But that was more than I thought it would be. Still, they were my parents. They had always been there for me, and they weren't asking for much. Yeah, of course. I replied, lied and said, it's the least I can do. Looking back, that was the guilt is strong. At the time I should have set limits. But overthe'd wake up, go to work, and come home every day for the next 6 months, and crash. Every month, I send my parents a big chunk of my pay to pay for things, bills, food, and other costs. On top of that, I did some small jobs for them. Said they didn't have time to do things like run errands for Mom when her arthritis got worse, or fix Dad's Excel sheets because he wasn't good with computers. It wasn't just about money. I didn't think I'd have of time, energy, or patience at first. I told myself it was only temporary, a small gift to my parents who had always been there for me. But as time went on, I began to notice nuances. My mom would sigh deeply if I told her I wanted to save money for my own place at A. It must be nice to think about moving out when the rest of us are struggling to get by. Dad was the same. He'd shake his head and say, some people don't know how it's hard to make ends meet. When I bought new clothes for work or anything else, it wasn't just for fun. I felt guilty because I didn't value what I had given up. My friends stopped asking me to hang out with them. I missed out because I couldn't afford to go. Each month, my desire to see the city diminished as my savings account shrank, refused to grow. When I told my mom I was thinking about getting a second job to save money faster, she only laughed. Well, just don't let it get in the way of what we need, she said. What we need hurt. I did everything I could to keep this house together, but it wasn't enough. I didn't believe it, though was very mean. They weren't mean or demanding, but the guilt trips were steady and quiet, like water pouring down a drain. While I was stuck on a rock, I had planned to stay for 3 to 6 hours. I only helped them for a few months, but the more I did, the more they seemed to depend on me. The bills kept coming in, and I kept paying them all, even though my dream of freedom was getting farther away. I told myself it was only temporary, so I just needed to save a little more money, and I'd be done. I even looked at city flats to see what it would be like. For some reason, life threw me another surprise before I could take the next step. It was a Friday. In late spring, I had just gotten home from work and was looking forward to a quiet night of Netflix, and there were leftovers, and Mom was in the kitchen while Dad worked on the mower outside. When the doorbell rang, I answered it to find my older sister Morgan standing there. Everything seemed fine. Travas, her husband, was behind her carrying a bag and looked tense. Ava, 5, and Milo, 3. Ran around the yard like storms fed by sugar, Morgan said with a fake smile. Surprise. I stood there for a second, Travis behind her looked tired as he carried 2 trunks and a duffel bag. What's going on? He asked, finally asked, moving out of the way as Morgan walked right past me. We need a place to stay for just a little while, she said as she walked toward the living room. She sat down on the couch and let out a loud groan. Travis's job as a consultant is over, and my boutique's sales have gone down, making it hard to pay the rent. Where things stand now, but I didn't know you let them get that way. So bad that you took your whole family and showed up at someone else's house without warning. Travis walked through the door with his arms full. Hey Riley, he said without raising his voice, looking at her before moving the stuff upstairs. I was still standing there when my mom came in from the she, wiped her hands on her apron, and said, "Oh, my babies are here." Morgan was hugged. "You poor things, you've been through so much. Don't worry. We'll take care of everything." Dad came in a minute later with Milo in his arms, Dot in one arm, like a football. "This one almost gave me a heart attack," he said as he sat down after running. "She went straight for the mower, like it was a ride at a theme park." Morgan laughed softly, but I saw that she didn't say anything. I didn't say sorry or even look at Milo to tell him to stop. I just stood there and watched the scene change so quickly it was like I was in a different world. In no time, my parents were applauding Morgan like she was a war hero who had survived a big battle. Mom was already planning dinner and where they could eat it, the beds for the kids, and Dad offered to move his tools out of the extra room to make more room. I stayed put though. I couldn't see anything that night as I worked on a spending spreadsheet in my room. I had to go to work, but all I could hear was noise downstairs. Ava and Milo were running back and forth. They yelled at the top of their lungs down the hallway. Morgan's voice echoed through the living room as she told her mom about her since there were problems at work. I took a deep breath and told myself it would only be a few weeks. I could handle it. The next morning, it was clear that Morgan and Travis were not. They unloaded all the bags and put them in the closet in the extra room. I even took over a closet shelf for the kids' food. Without saying anything, I was chosen as the babysitter at first. Little Morgan would ask me to watch Ava and Milo while she and Travis went to the bathroom. "The store? It'll only be an hour," she'd say, as she reached for her purse. Usually an hour went on for 2 or 3 days on the weekends. Saturday mornings were the worst. You would wake up to find Morgan and Travis getting ready for a night out, and Morgan would say, "We're meeting. Bring friends over for lunch," and give me a list of fun things to do with kids that she printed off the internet. We shouldn't be too busy. Long. By not too long, she meant most of the day. Morgan acted like I had just when I tried to push back the first time. They said I should throw the kids in a ditch. I was just having lunch with Riley. "You don't even have plans. What's the big deal?" I pointed to my laptop and said, "I'm going to spend the day catching up on work." Morgan laughed and said, "You're just sitting there. It's not like you can do that with Ava and Milo in the room. You're being too dramatic." The worst part was when Mom jumped in. "Riley, honey," she said in a low voice, like an old proverb. "Morgan works so hard that she deserves a break every once in a while." "I work hard too. Mom just told me to leave." "Of course, you do, but you're single, sweetheart. I don't get how much stress there is when you have a family to take care of." It felt like everyone else's worries were mine. What I said didn't matter because I didn't have to think about a husband or kids. It was always a bootho. Much harder things were for everyone else. Setting limits would be selfish of me if I begged for space. I was putting the focus on myself. And when Morgan and Travis got back from their never-ending brunches or chores, they would act like they had just finished a race. "You have no idea how it is outside." Travis once slouched on the couch as if he had been digging ditches all day. Instead of drinking mimosas, I felt like yelling, "I don't know what it's like." Because I had just stopped for 6 hours. Milo from playing with Play-Doh while Ava asked